What if I told you that a book older than your great-grandma's great-grandma has a secret message hidden inside it? Not just a story, but a special message that tells us about things that will happen tomorrow or even way in the future. Like big things, really big things, like presidents getting hurt or huge wars starting. And this secret message is hiding right there in the most famous book in the whole wide world, the Bible. Now that sounds super weird, right? Like, how can a book from thousands of years ago know about things happening right now? Well, some smart people have been looking at this old book in a totally new way. They say it's not just words that you read from left to right. They say it has codes, like secret puzzles that predict stuff. Close your eyes and allow yourself to rest as we explore the forgotten moments that might hold deeper secrets than we realize. This is today's bedtime story. Let's begin. Imagine you have a big poster with lots and lots of letters on it. If you just read it normally, it tells one story. But what if you skip exactly 5 letters every time you pick one, and then put those letters together? You might find a totally different message. Like, the poster might say, "Welcome to the party." But if you skip letters, it might secretly spell out, "The cake is a lie." See? It's like magic, but with letters. The Bible, some people say, has this kind of letter magic. They call it Bible code. They believe that if you look really, really closely and skip letters in just the right way, you can find hidden words and sentences that talk about big events that already happened, and even events that haven't happened yet, like a secret newspaper from the future, printed a long, long time ago. Now, this idea is pretty wild. Some people think it's super cool and totally true. They've even found what they believe are, but other people say, no way, that's just silly. It's like finding shapes in the clouds. You can make anything you want if you try hard enough. So, in this video, we're going to be like detectives. We're going to look at these claims about the Bible's secret codes. We'll see how these codes are supposed to work and look at some of the most famous examples that made people say, whoa, that's amazing. We're going to explore this super interesting and yes, a little bit crazy idea that a very old book might hold secrets about our future. Get ready to have your mind stretched. It's going to be an adventure into the hidden words of the Bible. Okay, so we just talked about the idea that the Bible might have secret messages hidden inside. But how do these secret messages actually work? What are these codes? It's like learning about 2 different kinds of super secret puzzles. Let's dig in. The first super secret puzzle is called equidistant letter sequence. That's a big fancy name, but it just means skipping letters the same way every time. Think about it like this. Imagine you have a really, really long rope made out of letters. Instead of reading the letters one by one like you normally would, you decide to skip. Maybe you decide to pick the first letter, then skip 5 letters, then pick the next letter, then skip 5 letters again, and so on. Or maybe you skip 10 letters every time, or 20 letters. The important part is that you skip the exact same number of letters every single time. It's like taking a giant hop across the letters. The idea with the Bible code is that sometimes when people skip letters in the Bible, they find real words that are connected to each other, and those words seem to tell a secret message. Like if, in a long list of letters, you suddenly found president, and then, right near it, by skipping letters again, you found killed. That would be a super spooky discovery. It's like finding a hidden path in a big forest of letters. You just have to know how many steps to take each time to stay on the secret path. People who look for these codes use special computer programs because the Bible has so many letters that doing it by hand would take 1,000,000 years. Now, the second kind of super secret puzzle is called gematria. This one is a bit different. It's not about skipping letters, but about numbers in some very old languages, like Hebrew, which is what parts of the Bible were first written in. Every letter also has a number. Like the first letter might be 1, the second letter might be 2, the third letter might be 3, and so on. So, if you have a word, you can add up the numbers for all the letters in that word. For example, if the letter C was 3, A was 1, and T was 20, then the word cat would add up to 3 plus 1 plus 20 times equals 24. With gematria, people believe that if two different words add up to the same number, it means they are somehow connected in a special secret way. Or maybe a number itself, like the number 7 or 40, has a secret meaning that keeps showing up in the Bible. It's like the Bible is talking to us with secret number clues. For example, if the word peace adds up to a certain number, and then a totally different word like victory also adds up to that same number, people might think it means peace leads to victory, or that they are two sides of the same coin. So to sum it up, equidistant letter sequence. ELS is about skipping letters in the Bible to find hidden words and messages. Gematria is about turning letters into numbers and seeing what secret connections those numbers reveal. Both of these are like looking at the Bible in a super unique way, trying to find messages that aren't just plain to see. It's like the Bible has a secret handshake for those who know how to look. For a long, long time, some very smart people, especially ones who studied the old Hebrew language, knew about the idea of gematria, where letters have numbers. They also knew that sometimes, if you looked really, really hard, you could find a few words by skipping letters in the Bible. But it was mostly like a fun, tricky puzzle, not something people thought was a big, huge secret about the future. Then, a few decades ago, something really big happened. A man named Michael Drosnin wrote a book called The Bible Code. This book wasn't just a quiet study. It shouted from the rooftops that the Bible really does have hidden predictions about major events. It said these predictions were found using that equidistant letter sequence method, the one where you skip letters. Imagine if a new TV show came out and everyone started talking about it at school, at home, everywhere. That's kind of what happened with the Bible Code book. It was a huge sensation. People rushed to buy it because it made a really wild claim. That important things like people getting hurt, or big wars, or even giant natural disasters were secretly written in the Bible thousands of years before they happened. The book said that these hidden messages were found by using super strong computers. Think of it this way. The Bible is a giant, giant string of letters. Finding secret messages by skipping letters by hand would be like trying to find one tiny pebble on a whole beach. Impossible. But computers can do it super fast. They can try skipping one letter, then 2 letters, then 3 letters, all the way up to hundreds or even thousands of letters in every possible direction, and then look for words that make sense. It's like having a super speedy letter detective. The reason everyone got so excited and why the book was such a big deal was because Michael Drosnin claimed he had found predictions for real-life events that actually happened. He wasn't just saying, "Oh look, I found the word tree." He was saying, "Look, I found the name of a famous leader, and right next to it, I found the words, 'will be killed.' And then later, that leader was killed." That's a super shocking claim, right? When things like that happened, it made a lot of people wonder, is this true? Is there really a secret code in the Bible that tells us the future? It wasn't just a game anymore. It felt like a real mystery that had been unlocked. This made many people feel very excited and some felt a little scared, thinking about what else might be hidden in the Bible's secret messages. This was the moment the Bible code went from being a quiet idea among a few smart people to a huge, worldwide conversation. So, the Bible code became famous because of claims that it predicted real big events. It used computers to find secret messages by skipping letters, and it made people all over the world ask, could the Bible truly be a secret map to the future? All right, so we've talked about how these secret codes are like special puzzles hidden in the Bible. One where you skip letters, and another where letters become numbers. Now, let's zoom in on a really exciting time when the idea of the Bible code jumped from being a quiet secret that only a few very smart people knew about to something that almost everyone started talking about. It was a super big deal, like when a new superhero movie comes out and all your friends are talking about it at recess. For a super long time, like hundreds and hundreds of years, some very wise people who spent their lives studying the old Hebrew language of the Bible knew a little bit about these kinds of puzzles. They knew about gematria, where letters have number values, and they even knew that sometimes if you looked very, very carefully, you could find a few words here and there by skipping letters, but it was mostly seen as a cool, tricky brain game, or maybe something special for very holy people. It's said these secret future messages were found using that equidistant letter sequence method. Remember, that's the one where you skip letters by the same number every single time. The book became a bestseller. That means tons and tons of people bought it and read it. Why? Because it promised to unlock the biggest secret ever. People were curious, they were amazed, and some were even a little bit scared by the idea. Think about it. The Bible is an incredibly long book, full of letters. It's like a giant, giant carpet made entirely out of letters, stretched across a huge field. Trying to find secret messages by skipping letters by hand would be like trying to find one specific blade of grass in that whole field. It would be absolutely impossible and would take you literally forever. But Michael Drosnin's book explained that they used super fast, super smart computers to do this work. These computers are like super speedy letter detectives. They can take that giant letter carpet and scan it in a blink of an eye. They can try skipping letters by 1, then by 2, then by 3, then by 4, and all the way up to hundreds or even thousands of letters. And they don't just go forwards, they can go backwards, diagonally, and in every possible direction. They keep looking and looking, trying to find words that make sense, and most importantly, words that seem to be connected to each other, like president and killed. The biggest reason why everyone got so unbelievably excited and why Michael Drosnin's book became a worldwide sensation was because he claimed he had found secret predictions for real-life, important events that actually, truly happened after the predictions were supposedly found. He wasn't just saying, "Oh, look, I found the word flower in the Bible code." He was saying, "Look, I found the name of a famous leader, and right next to it, I found the words will be killed." And then, later, that leader was killed in real life. That's a super shocking and even spooky claim, right? So, to remember it simply, the Bible code became super famous because Michael Drosnin wrote a book saying it predicted real big events. Computers were the superheroes that found these messages by skipping letters, and it made people all over the world ask the super big question: could the Bible truly be a secret map to the future, written by God Himself? That's the big mystery we're trying to figure out in this video. Okay, so we've talked about how the Bible code became famous because of a book that said it could predict the future. Now, let's talk about the most famous example that made people really sit up and say, "Whoa, This is truly amazing. Maybe it is real. This story is about a very important leader named Yitzhak Rabin. Yitzhak Rabin was a very important person. He was the prime minister of Israel, which is like being the president of a country. He was working very hard to bring peace between different groups of people, and many folks hoped he could make things much better. Now, here's where the Bible code comes in. The man who wrote the Bible code book, Michael Drosnin, said something amazing. He claimed that before Yitzhak Rabin was hurt, he found a secret message in the Bible that talked about him. Imagine if someone told you they found a hidden message in your favorite comic book that said, "Your principal will get a new, shiny car next week." And then, guess what? The next week, your principal actually gets a brand new, super shiny car. You'd be totally shocked, right? That's how this Rabin story felt to many people. So how did this prediction work? Well, remember that equidistant letter sequence thing where you skip letters? Michael Drosnin said that using special computer programs, he searched the very old parts of the Bible, the first 5 books. These books are super old, written thousands of years ago. He claimed that the computer found the name Yitzhak Rabin hidden in these old words, not just by reading it normally, of course, but by skipping letters, like skipping every 50th letter or every 100th letter, and then putting those letters together. So the letters for Yitzhak Rabin showed up as a secret line in the giant letter puzzle. But here's the part that sent shivers down people's backs. Michael Drosnin didn't just find Yitzhak Rabin. He claimed that very, very close to where Yitzhak Rabin was secretly written, the computer also found other hidden words. What kind of words? Words like assassin and assassinated. Think about that for a second. In this super old book, written so long ago, it supposedly had the name of a modern leader, and right next to it, words that mean someone who kills and was killed. It was like finding a secret news report from the future, already printed in a book from the past. Michael Drosnin even said he tried to warn Yitzhak Rabin about this discovery before it happened. He sent a letter trying to tell him about the danger that might be hidden in the Bible. But sadly, not long after, Yitzhak Rabin was, in fact, assassinated. He was killed by someone who didn't agree with his plans for peace. This event made the Bible code story explode. People thought, wow, how could a book written so long ago know about something so specific? Like the name of a modern leader and how he would die. It seemed too strange to be just a lucky guess. For many people, this example of Yitzhak Rabin's assassination was the strongest proof that the Bible code was real. It made them believe that there truly were hidden messages from God or from somewhere mysterious, telling us important things about the future. It was a very powerful and very sad story that made millions of people pay attention to the idea of secret codes in the Bible. It was the moment the Bible code became more than just a puzzle. It became a potential peek into what's coming next. The Bible has another kind of code that many people have believed in for a super long time, even before computers were invented. This other kind of code isn't about skipping letters. It's about how some parts of the Bible talk about the future, like fortune tellers, but in a very special, sometimes confusing, way. We call these parts prophecy. Think of it like this. Sometimes your teacher gives you clues to a treasure hunt. The clues aren't always super clear, right? They might say things like, go to the place where the big green monster sleeps, and you have to figure out that the big green monster is actually just a big bush shaped like a monster. Well, Bible prophecies are kind of like that. They often use special secret language, or what we call symbolic language. It's like a secret language that you have to unlock to truly understand what's being said about the future. For hundreds and thousands of years, people have been studying these parts of the Bible, especially in books like Daniel and Revelation. These books are full of strange pictures and ideas, like beasts with many heads, or numbers that keep showing up, or a mysterious city coming down from the sky. These aren't meant to be read like a regular story about a boy and his dog. No, these are believed to be secret messages about what will happen to countries, to people, and especially about what will happen at the very end of time. For example, in the Bible, there's a prophecy that talks about a kingdom that will never be destroyed. For many people, this isn't just a nice idea. It's a secret code word for something that will actually happen in the future. They believe it means God's kingdom will one day rule over everything, and nothing bad will ever happen again. It's like a secret promise about a super happy ending for the whole world. Another example is how some prophecies talk about a time when a group of people will return to their ancient land. For a very long time, the Jewish people didn't have their own country. But then in the 1900s, the country of Israel was born again. Many people who believe in Bible prophecy saw this as a clear sign that an old code in the Bible had come true. It was like a message written thousands of years ago, finally playing out right before their eyes. So, while the Bible code we talked about before is about computers finding skipped letters, this other kind of code is about understanding the special way the Bible talks about the future. It's like a coded map, and you need to know the secret language of the map to figure out where everything leads. People spend their whole lives studying these prophecies, trying to figure out and how it connects to events that are happening today or will happen tomorrow. They believe these prophecies aren't just old stories, but true future forecasts given by God, just waiting for us to understand their secret language. It's like the Bible is whispering hints about tomorrow, and you just need to listen very, very carefully to its special way of talking. It makes the Bible feel like a really deep puzzle box with many layers of secrets inside. All right, we've talked about skipping letters and about prophecies that are like secret clues. Now let's dive into one of the most mysterious and talked about books in the whole Bible, especially when people think about secret codes and the future, the Book of Revelation. This book is like a super-duper complicated puzzle, and many people believe it holds the very last secret messages about how the world will end or change in what they call the end times. Imagine a very strange dream you once had. Maybe there were talking animals, or buildings floating in the sky, or bright lights and loud noises you didn't understand. The Book of Revelation is kind of like that dream, but written down. It's full of amazing and sometimes scary pictures, like a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, or a giant dragon, or angels blowing trumpets that cause big things to happen on earth. These aren't meant to be real animals you'd see at the zoo. Oh no, these are all symbols. Think of a symbol like a picture that stands for something else. A heart symbol means love, right? Well, in Revelation, a beast might be a symbol for a powerful country or a very bad leader. A dragon might be a symbol for evil itself. And fire might be a symbol for punishment or big changes. So when people read Revelation, they aren't just reading a crazy story. They're trying to decode these symbols to figure out what they mean for the future. Many people believe that the whole book of Revelation is a giant coded message about the very last days of Earth. It talks about big wars, terrible sicknesses, big earthquakes, and other super important events that will happen just before a new, better world is made. They believe these are not just warnings, but actual clues about the timeline of the future. For example, Revelation talks about something called The mark of the beast. It sounds scary, right? For people who study Revelation as a code, they try to figure out what this mark really means. Is it a real mark on a person's hand? Is it a way of thinking? Is it a secret number that will control people? They believe that understanding this mark is a super important clue to what life will be like in the very last days. It also talks about specific time periods, like it mentions things happening for 1,000 years. Doesn't sound like a normal measurement, does it? It's a code. People who try to unlock this part of the Bible believe it's a secret way of telling us about a specific number of years or months or days when certain things will happen. They might say time means 1 year, times means 2 years, and half a time means half a year. So it could be a code for 3.5 years. But here's the tricky part. Just like with any big puzzle, not everyone agrees on how to solve it. One person might think the beast means one country, while another person thinks it means a different country. One person might think the 1,000 years is a real 1,000 years, while another thinks it's just a symbol for a long, long time. So, there are many, many different ways people try to decode the book of Revelation. What's super important is that people who believe in these codes think that by understanding Revelation, they can get a peek into God's big plan for the end of the world. They believe it's a secret guide that helps them understand signs and signals that might be happening right now, telling them that the end times might be closer than we think. It's like having a secret map that shows you the very last part of a huge treasure hunt, and everyone is trying their best to read the clues correctly. So, the book of Revelation is seen as a complex secret code full of symbols and strange language that many people try to unlock to understand the end times and God's final plans for the world. Now, let's look at another super cool way people believe the Bible has secret codes by using numbers. Not just any numbers, but special numbers found in prophecies, especially in a part of the Bible called the Book of Daniel. Imagine you have a secret message, and parts of it are actually math problems. That's kind of what some parts of the Bible are believed to be. This is called biblical numerology, which just means the study of numbers in the Bible. People think that certain numbers keep showing up in the Bible, and they have special secret meanings, or they are clues to how long things will last. The most famous example of this is a puzzle from the book of Daniel. It's called the prophecy of the 70 weeks. Now, when you hear 70 weeks, you probably think of 70 regular weeks, like a little over a year. But here's the secret code part. Many people who study this prophecy believe that a week in this special Bible code doesn't mean 7 days. It means 7 years. So if 1 week is really 7 years, then what is 70 weeks? It's a math problem. You would do 70 multiplied by 7. What does that equal? 490. So 70 weeks becomes a secret code for 490 years. Isn't that cool how a simple word like week can hide such a big number? Now, Daniel's prophecy talks about these 490 years as a special time set aside for God's people and for a city called Jerusalem. It says that after this certain amount of time, ... big things will happen, like bad things would stop, good things would start, and someone very special, called the Anointed One, or Messiah, would come. This is where it gets really interesting and where people use it as a future clock. People who believe in this code try to figure out exactly when these 490 years began. They look for a specific starting point mentioned in the Bible, like when someone gave an order to rebuild Jerusalem's walls. Once they find that starting point, they can count forward 490 years. And guess what? When some people do that math, they say that the end of those 490 years points exactly to the time when Jesus came to earth. For many who believe in the Bible, this is super amazing proof that the Bible isn't just a regular book of stories. They believe it's a book with God's own secret timeline hidden inside, telling us exactly when important things, like the coming of Jesus, would happen. It's like God put a secret timer in the Bible for future events. But wait, there's another part to this 70 weeks puzzle. The prophecy of Daniel also talks about how these 70 weeks are split up. It says there will be 69 weeks, or 483 years leading up to the Anointed One. But then it talks about one final week, the 70th week, that some people believe hasn't happened yet. This last week is super important for people who study end times. Prophecies. They believe this last week of 7 years will be a very special time in the future, filled with big events like a very important leader making a peace deal, and then big troubles starting. It's like the Bible has a pause button on its future clock, and this last 7-year period is still waiting to tick down. Now, it's time to be fair and listen to the other side. Not everyone thinks these Bible codes are real messages from God or the future. In fact, lots of very smart people, especially scientists and math experts, say, "Hold on a minute, not so fast." These people are called skeptics, which just means they like to ask tough questions and need a lot of proof before they believe something. So what do the skeptics say? Their biggest and most important point is about randomness. That's a fancy word for just by chance or by accident. Think about it this way. If you have a huge book, like the Bible, with millions and millions of letters, and you start skipping letters in every possible way, forwards, backwards, sideways, by 1 letter, by 2 letters, by 100 letters, by 1,000 letters, you are going to find words. It's like if you kept tossing a coin 1,000,000 times, you're bound to get heads 10 times in a row sometimes, just by luck. Imagine you have a giant bowl filled with all the letters of the alphabet. If you keep pulling letters out and lining them up, and you do this billions of times, you're eventually going to accidentally spell out cat, or dog, or even superhero. It doesn't mean those words were put there on purpose. It just means that with enough tries, you'll find anything. The Bible has so many letters that if you look for long enough, and in enough different ways, you're almost guaranteed to find names, or events, or phrases that seem to fit something that happened. The skeptics also talk about something called statistical significance. That's another big word, but it just means, is this happening because it's truly special or just because of luck? When people like Michael Drosnin found things like Yitzhak Rabin and assassinated close together by skipping letters, it seemed amazing. But the math experts say, yes, but how often would something like that happen just by chance in such a big book? They've done their own computer tests. They've taken other very long books, even books that are totally random, like a phone book or a really long story, and they've run the same skipping letter programs on them. And guess what? They found just as many hidden messages and predictions in those random books as they did in the Bible. This is a huge point for the skeptics. If you can find predictions about presidents or wars in a phone book just as easily as in the Bible, and it means those predictions aren't really special. They're just accidents of how letters are put together and how our brains like to find patterns. Our brains are super good at finding patterns, even when there isn't one meant to be there, like finding shapes in the clouds. You might see a dragon, but it's really just a cloud. Another thing the skeptics say is that people who look for these codes do something called cherry picking. Imagine you have a big bowl of cherries, and some are really good, and some are not so good. If you only show everyone the really good, juicy cherries and hide all the not so good ones, it looks like all the cherries are perfect. Well, skeptics say that people who believe in Bible codes do something similar. They only talk about the times they found a hit, a prediction that seemed to come true. But they don't talk about all the millions of times they searched and found nothing, or found something that didn't make any sense, or found something that was completely wrong. If you only show the hits, it looks like the code is always right. But if you showed all the searches, it might look very different. So, the skeptic's main message is, it's not magic, it's math and chance. With enough letters and enough ways to look at them, you'll always find interesting patterns, even if they don't mean anything special. For many, many people around the world, the Bible isn't just an old book. They believe it's a very special book from God. They believe God inspired the people who wrote it, meaning God put the ideas into their heads. If that's true, then it makes sense that God might put super clever messages in the Bible that only very smart people or special computers could find. It would be like a secret message from the creator of everything. This belief in divine inspiration, God's special way of helping write the Bible, makes the idea of hidden codes seem even more possible and exciting. It adds a deeper, more holy feeling to the mystery. Third, people just love puzzles and mysteries. Think about how much fun it is to solve a riddle, or put together a big jigsaw puzzle, or try to figure out who the bad guy is in a detective show. Our brains are built to look for patterns and solve problems. When someone says, there's a hidden code in the Bible, it's like throwing down the biggest, most exciting puzzle challenge ever. It makes people want to dig in, explore, and be the one to find the next big secret. It's a very exciting feeling to think you might be unlocking something that has been hidden for thousands of years. Imagine if you were told there was buried treasure in your backyard, but you needed a secret map to find it. You'd be out there digging and searching with all your might. The idea of Bible codes is like that treasure hunt. It promises big discoveries and a deeper understanding of the world. And people are always eager for that kind of adventure. So as we finish our adventure into the Bible's hidden codes, we're left with some very big questions, aren't we? Are these truly secret blueprints for the future, placed there by a wise, all-knowing power? Are they like a master plan, waiting to be discovered, telling us exactly what's going to happen next in the world? Or are they just really, really amazing coincidences? Are they like tricks of the eye, where our brains are just seeing patterns in a giant jumble of letters because we want to find them so much? What do you think? No matter what you believe, it's pretty cool to think about, right? It makes us look at an old book in a totally new way, filled with possibilities and mysteries. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to join our community if you haven't already, because it's my mission to help you drift off to sleep with the best Bible bedtime stories. It is truly my passion to share these with you. You're awesome for watching. Don't forget to watch the next video showing up on your screen.